Hi everyone, Kelt here, bringing you my thoughts on the British royal family and Harry and Meghan. And before I dive into today's main topic, which is Meghan's reported whiteboard of love photos with Prince Harry, I have an important update on yesterday's video about the Beckham feud. The latest development is that David and Victoria Beckham have reportedly issued a stern warning to Meghan after she attempted to stir the narrative around their strained relationship. Sources indicate Meghan quickly backtracked, blaming the media for misrepresenting her actions, an absolutely predictable move in her playbook. On X, people are calling this a clear pattern of leaking stories to gauge public reaction, only to deflect when challenged. For instance, speculation surrounds a People magazine story about Brooklyn Beckham and Nicola Peltz dining at the Sussexes' Montecito home, which we covered yesterday. Many believed Meghan seeded this to paint a rosy picture, but the Beckhams' response shut it down. Victoria, notably, has been active on social media, sharing images of her own star-studded dinner, perhaps as a counter-move. We'll keep tracking this, but for now, let's shift to today's focus, Meghan's whiteboard and a compelling Moonbump claim. As someone who's believed in the Moonbump theory since 2019, I'm eager to look into this. If you're new, please subscribe and let's get started. So imagine this. Meghan has reportedly created a display, a whiteboard no less, plastered with photographs of her and Harry. We're talking romantic, candid photographs, glamorous red carpet shots, and even curated moments from their Netflix documentary. The stated purpose is to celebrate their enduring partnership, a visual testament to their bond. But the reaction online, particularly on X, has been far from warm. Many describe it as contrived, even desperate. One commenter remarked that it feels like an attempt to convince the public of their happiness, but it resembles a teenager's scrapbook more than a genuine gesture. After years of carefully orchestrated media moments, it's difficult not to view this as another calculated move. On X, the criticism is full on. Users describe the whiteboard as an overreach, suggesting it's less about love and more about controlling a narrative. One person noted that if a couple feels compelled to showcase their devotion so publicly, it raises questions about their confidence in it. Another called it theatrical, arguing that Meghan and Harry's actions often feel like performances rather than authentic expressions. This isn't new territory for them. From the Oprah interview to the Spotify fallout and the South Park parody, their every move seems to spark debate. The whiteboard, it seems, is just the latest chapter in a saga of public skepticism. To understand why this whiteboard has struck such a nerve, we need to look at the broader context. Since stepping back from royal duties in 2020, Meghan and Harry have positioned themselves as global media figures. Think Archewell, Netflix deals and tell-all interviews. But with each project, they've faced accusations of being overly curated. A 2021 Vanity Fair article described their public image as polarising, noting that while some admire their independence, others see them as opportunistic. The whiteboard fits this pattern. It's presented as personal, but to many it feels like another attempt to sell their Love Conquers All brand. On X, one user summed it up, saying it's as if they're curating their own mythology. That's a powerful critique, and it sets the stage for our next topic. Now let's turn to the more compelling issue, the Moonbump. For those unfamiliar, a Moonbump is a prosthetic belly, and I've believed since 2019 that Meghan used one during her pregnancies. This whiteboard may have inadvertently provided new evidence. In one photo, where Meghan appears pregnant, ex-users have identified what looks like a strap or outline. This aligns with observations I've followed for years, moments when her bump seemed to shift, deflate, or sit unnaturally. Let's examine this closely, because it is a significant claim. Here's the photo in question, and there's a distinct shape, possibly a strap, visible under her bump. On X, the reaction is intense. One user called it unmistakable, questioning how such a detail could be overlooked. Another noted that the bump's positioning looks off, echoing past claims about it appearing upside down or unusually rigid. These are not isolated observations. During her alleged pregnancy with Archie, photos from events like the 2019 Australia tour sparked similar debates. I remember one image where her bump seemed to change shape dramatically between poses. For me, this new photo strengthens the case that Meghan used a moonbump, perhaps to maintain control over her public image during pregnancy. Or perhaps not. Perhaps because there was no pregnancy. So what does the media say about this? The moonbump theory has been discussed before. In 2019, The Sun and the Daily Mail reported on social media speculation about Meghan's pregnancy with Archie, noting questions about her bump size and shape. For example, a Daily Mail article from October 2019 highlighted a moment when her bump appeared to drop at an event, fueling online chatter. I think I've covered this in an old video. No definitive proof emerged, and a 2021 Vanity Fair piece dismissed these as baseless conspiracies, suggesting they stem from bias against Meghan. And yet, the absence of clear denials from Meghan or Harry keeps the debate alive. For those of us who believe this theory, the lack of evidence isn't evidence of absence, and this new photo feels like a breakthrough. So why does this matter? The moonbump theory isn't just about pregnancy, it's about trust. If Meghan used a prosthetic, it suggests a level of image control that could undermine her authenticity. On X, users argue this fits a pattern. One person described her as scripting her own narrative, from royal exit to media ventures. The Whiteboard, with its overt display of affection, amplifies this. It's not just a photo collection, it's a statement. But when you add the moonbump evidence, it raises bigger questions about what's real and what's staged. I'm convinced, but I acknowledge it's a bold claim. Photos can be misleading, lighting, angles, and clothing play a role. But still, the consistency of these observations over years is hard to ignore. So, let's just think about this for a moment. I want to hear from you. What do you make of this whiteboard and the moonbump photo? Do you think Meghan's display is genuine, or is it another media move? And for those who followed the moonbump theory, does this image sway you? Drop your thoughts in the comments and I'll pin my favourite response. So let's step back and consider the bigger picture. The whiteboard isn't an isolated incident. Meghan and Harry have built a brand on their narrative. Think about their 2022 Netflix series, where personal photos played a big role, or their 2020 Archewell launch, framed around compassion and unity. But each step has faced scrutiny. A 2023 Guardian article noted that their projects often feel overproduced, alienating some audiences. The whiteboard, with its curated images, fits this critique. On X, one user called it tasteless, suggesting it's less about love and more about reinforcing their image ahead of a new venture, like another documentary. Another speculated it's a distraction from reports of Harry seeking royal reconciliation, as mentioned in a 2024 Telegraph, Whether that's true, the timing feels convenient. To put this in perspective, let's map out their journey. In 2018, they marry, global adoration. By 2020, they exit royal life, which is divisive. 2021 brings the Oprah interview, sparking royal rift claims, and 2022 sees their Netflix series, praised by some and mocked by others. Then 2023's South Park episode lampoons their privacy tour, cementing public fatigue, making them a mockery. Now, in 2025, we have this whiteboard. Each moment builds skepticism, and the Moonbump theory amplifies it. For me, it's not just about one photo, it's about a pattern of control. But there are still those who are fans and defend Meghan, calling the whiteboard a sweet gesture and dismissing Moonbump claims as cruel. They're allowed to have their opinion, but they're in the minority nowadays, and the majority believe it's fake, and are more concerned because of the line of succession, which is very important. So here's my verdict. The whiteboard is an attempt to bolster their brand amid ongoing scrutiny, but it's tone deaf when public trust is fragile. The execution, which is public, curated and overt, makes it hard to see as genuine. And as for the Moonbump, I always was convinced. The straps, the odd shapes, the history of questionable moments, it all aligns. I've believed this since 2019, and this photo just reinforces it. That said, I recognise the need for concrete evidence. So without a statement from Meghan or Harry, it remains a theory, albeit a compelling one. But we do have Prince William, don't we, who has, in the past, demanded proof from Harry and Meghan, demanded that they provide proof of their alleged children's legitimacy. So, the X reaction shows deep distrust, with users calling the whiteboard self-absorbed or scripted. One even likened it to Meghan crafting her own legend. That scepticism, paired with the Moonbump evidence, makes this a pivotal moment in their public story. And I wonder, did she do this on purpose? Does she want us to spot the Moonbump? Is this to bring this out? Is this a time for not just other truths coming out, but the truth about the Moonbump? So what's the motive behind the whiteboard? Some on X suggest it's a prelude to a new project, like a book or series, to reaffirm their brand. Others see it as a deflection from negative headlines, like those royal reconciliation rumours, or the Beckham feud we've updated on earlier. Whatever the intent, it's not resonating. The Moonbump sighting only deepens the divide, giving critics like me more to dissect. But I'm curious about the future. Will Meghan and Harry address this, or will they double down on their narrative? Only time will tell. And I don't think time is on their side, because the closer that Prince William gets to the throne to become king, we know that that will be the first thing that he will do, will be to bring that truth out. So that's my take on Meghan's whiteboard. The Moonbump evidence and the latest Beckham feud update. Is the display a sincere gesture gone wrong, or a calculated bid for attention? And does this photo convince you of the Moonbump theory, as it does me? Share your views in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you found this analysis insightful, please like, subscribe and click the bell for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.